So what's anxiety? What's this anxiety that everyone's talking about? So one way to describe it that really made it clear is, for example, if you're driving and then suddenly everyone's driving fine, normal, but then you're driving and then you feel like you're sinking and the car's going without you and the cars are passing you and the cars, you're losing control of it and you feel like you're sinking in the car. That will be what anxiety does. It makes you get in a state of panic or like something's gonna go wrong, right? And something could be caused by trauma, past trauma. Hey, how are you doing? So I wanted to give some tips this week on how to cope with anxiety. In today's society, everyone is super busy, and if you're a mom, then you also have something to have to work, and that adds a lot of responsibilities and stress. And those to-do lists are super long. I thought I will give some emotional intelligence tips to cope with anxiety. So first, if you know what it is that is triggering your anxiety, what's exacerbating it, what's causing it, if you know the trigger, it will make it easier to do a reverse engineer kind of thing and track where it's coming from. So if you have a little, an anxiety attack or you're starting to get anxiety, then you can like take a deep breath and do something that brings you into the moment. And then when you're here, you can backtrack and check what is it that triggered you. And it helps a lot to journal. If every time you have an anxiety attack or you're getting anxiety, you should take notes so you can, after a couple weeks, track down those notes. If you can look for patterns, you can see what's causing it, what's making it trigger, how is it repeating, at what times, what events, and that'll help you, find the root when that's causing it. Because most of the time when we're going through an anxiety episode, we're already in the crisis mode and we can't really spot or think clearly. So if you prepare, or when you think you're going to go to an anxiety episode, you can have things in place that bring you back into your core and your center in the moment before you're in a crisis, right? So something that really helps too with anxiety, that you can help yourself when you think you're getting or starting to get anxious, is to get an essential oil kit. There's a lot of herbals, essentials, that can help you bring you back to the present moment, right? Because you are stimulating the senses and you're soothing yourself through your senses. And the essential oils have some properties that are instantly absorbed by your brain. So the difference will be on, like, when you're eating, first you have to digest it, and then after you digest it, it has to go through your bloodstream, and after it goes through your bloodstream, then it finally goes and circles back to your brain, right? With essential oils, you're immediately going to the brain with them. So that's why they're so great, and it's a natural gift that nature gives us that we can help ourselves. So for example, I have some lavender essential oil, and you can just put some drops here or on here close to the nose, and then that will bring you to the present moment, and it will be very soothing. Lavender is one of my favorites. L'Occitane also has these amazing little sachets that have the plant inside, and you can place these in under your pillow. Another practice that can help you pause during the day, your busy day, is to burn some sage. Um, Sage will purify the energy in your room, and a lot of people use it for a lot of other purposes and practices. Um, People follow the moon and things like that, but it also clears the energy, and it also helps you have like a go-to ritual that brings you into the moment. So this is one of my favorites too. So this is one of my other favorite ones. It's called frankincense bronze oil, and it smells so wonderful. It makes me feel like I'm in India, in a temple, in a holy temple that's full of lotus flowers everywhere and petals everywhere, and this is one of my favorites. Another practice that I talk about a lot is the EFT. So you can do some EFT tapping to help you, cope with whatever anxiety or event is triggering you. So usually the triggering points are here. It starts here in the front head, between the eyebrows, under the nose, here beside the eye. You can do around your hand, on your wrist, and your collarbone, and you can do some tapping, and you can create scripts. For example, even though I'm feeling anxious right now, even though I'm not sure what's making me feel this way, even though you can add your own script and fill it in, and then you say, I completely love and accept myself through the process. I'm safe. I'm supported. I'm safe. I'm supported. Everything is okay. Life is a process, and I'm doing a great job. I'm proud of myself. So that will be an example on EFT. Also, when you're tracking in your journal, when you're trying to find out if something's triggering your anxiety, make sure you spot if there's a lot of sugar that you're ingesting or a lot of coffee. For myself, I know that sugar at the moment, it makes me, it gives me that boost of energy or something. But then after that, I crash. It's like a big crash, and it doesn't do me well. So I'm aware of that anxiety. Also with coffee, it causes me anxiety, and I feel like palpitations. So you also have to track how much coffee and things like that. So that's why journaling will be so helpful too, if you spot things like that that are triggering you. Another thing you can track through journaling is if you're having enough sleeping hours. Sleeping, if you don't sleep enough, it'll definitely trigger your anxiety. It will make it worse every day. It gives you this fatigue. So I highly recommend that you have regular sleep. And a way to start fixing your sleeping hours is you can do it in half an hour interval. So you go tonight to bed half an hour earlier than yesterday, and the next day another half an hour earlier than the day before, and that's how you can start improving your sleeping hours. And don't have caffeine and sugar and things like that after 6 p.m. ideally. And you can have a ritual right before bed, before you go to bed, to wind and also be in the darkness, not just go from being in a bright room with the TV loud and everything on your phone and your computer. Add half an hour or an hour before you go to bed of complete darkness, so the hormones in your brain are triggered, and the brain is notified, oh, it's time to go to sleep, right? Because even your screen on your phone is probably sending messages to your brain, it's still daylight, and that doesn't help you go to sleep. Doing a gratitude list also, and there's beautiful meditations out there that help you sleep. One of the biggest things that really helped me is to have like a brain dump, right? Sometimes we're in bed and we're like going through all this list. Oh, tomorrow I better not forget to do, or we start ruminating about things that happened during the day or things that we didn't do right when we're in bed. So if you're in that state, get out of bed and do a brain dump and write it on a piece of paper and say, if it's a to-do list, write it. Tomorrow I don't want to forget this, and you write it. And that'll great, because then you won't have to be constantly reminding yourself of thinking about it, because you have it on paper and it's the first thing you're going to see in the morning. Or just do a brain dump and write what's bothering you, and then, like I always recommend, just slash the paper or burn it and get rid of it. And hopefully that'll help you have a clearer state of mind and to be able to fall asleep. If something is really, really bothering you and it's not allowing you to release the anxiety, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, grab a pillow and scream at the top of your lungs into the pillow. Sometimes we need to get it out, whatever is bringing our anxiety. We have to express it, so we're not compressing it inside anymore. Something I never thought about, but I recently learned, is that also grounding foods can help us stop being, we joke with my mother, with the mosquito brain, we're like, so usually if you cook foods that grow under the earth, they help you get grounded. So all root vegetables, everything that was a root vegetable, if you make a soup, a warm soup and things like that, will also help you inside to get grounded. So I hope these tips really help you, to cope with anxiety. And remember, it's never too late to change the story of your lives. And I hope to see you in the Facebook group, and join us. I'll put the link below this blog post, and have a great, great weekend.